voices, there's no excuse. You've been loosed.
This is From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Each week, Janice shares her wisdom to enlighten, educate, and advance the culture in America today. Janice Pons is a mother, author, and free thinker, and your host for our podcast this evening. Now let's join your host, Janice Pons.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. Come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Janice Pons. I am the host on this podcast, From Destruction to Dignity, Clinical Perspective, Spiritual Truths. Now, we're going to continue this amazing journey that we're on, and tonight we're going to get in a little bit deep. So get your boots on, pull them up high on your knees, because we're going to discover some things together that is going to be like, oh, yeah, we're going to go there. All right, so hang in there with me because I'm going to really frame some things tonight. But I want to respectfully remind you, we are praying for our great nation. Our focus is on getting people to the Washington Federal Mall on October the 12th. 1 million voices are rising. I want to invite you to join me on the Janice Pons Prayer Tour, which is going to start October the 8th. There's going to be a few days before us culminating on that Washington Federal Mall because we're focusing on our children. Hashtag don't mess with our kids. You can register on how you can get prayer hubs, how you can be a part of this movement of prayer in our nation. And we're going to gather on the Washington Federal Mall. I'm going up there a few days early doing the Janice Pons Prayer Tour. If you want to register for that, the deadline for the initial registration of that is May the 1st. So you can go on JanicePons.com and you will see how to navigate that. I have a limited amount of space. It's already filling up. There are going to be a lot of activities in Washington that weekend, and accommodations are being taken up, but we already got our things locked down. We're going to Gettysburg, where the Underground Railroad was, Harriet Tubman, the Battle at Gettysburg. It's just so much. This is my third prayer tour. I am so excited. I ask you to join me. Some of you have already said, Miss Janice, I'm coming. And so we're going to have an amazing time, and our culminating activity will be on the Washington Federal Mall on October the 12th. 1 million voices rising. So if you want some assistance on how to get connected with the whole movement, you can go to info@JanicePons.com and I can direct you towards how you can do that. Also, while you're over there at info@JanicePons.com, if you want to have our podcast From Destruction to Dignity, Clinical Perspective, Spiritual Truths, live on your Facebook group, drop me a line at info@JanicePons.com so we can regularly schedule a live telecast to your group, because the word is spreading that lady, Janice Pons, is talking about some things that are provoking thought, bringing awareness, and pointing us towards intervention together as a nation, speaking of which, we tonight are going to talk about the demand for change. I'll see you at the Washington Federal Mall. Put that on your calendar. Get there. Come go with me on the tour. It's going to be amazing. So go on to JanicePons.com so you can register. All right? There you go. Now, tonight, we're talking about change in our nation. Tonight, we're going to talk about the demand for change and ending the scheme. What in the world is a scheme? We're going to dissect that tonight. In our clinical perspective, we're going to talk about how to decide considerations to make regarding if someone is good for you or not. Actually, there's a parallel to what's going on in our nation with this, although this has to do with our clinical perspective. Perspective does have to do with relationships, but we have a relationship with our nation as well. Yes, we do. We're going to dissect that. But tonight, the demand for change, ending the scheme. What are you talking about, Janice? Come go with me. My fellow Americans, we've been on this amazing journey together. As we are utilizing basic logic and deductive reasoning, we've looked at the real numbers for weeks now related to how the now 265,900,000 working Americans, remember, it's grown by 25,900,000 in the 6 months that we've been dissecting the intricacies of our nation. That says a lot to me. I know I'm on track. I know I am following the voice of God in addressing all of this. Listen, we've looked at the real numbers. Now it's 265,900,000 working Americans are undergirding and supporting the 5 pillars of our great nation through the systemic payroll deductions that come out of every dollar that we earn. We are now considering this honest question. Are all Americans taxed on every dollar that they earn? We have clearly established that the systemic deductions coming out of our paychecks are the monies that support Social Security, our military, our education system, health care through Medicare, and the interest on our national debt. We spent an entire month dissecting all 5 of those pillars. Go back and listen to them. We have also established that there are approximately 180 tax breaks that exist in America, and all Americans simply don't get those tax breaks. Additionally, we've established that the interest on our national debt is being paid on by the working Americans who are living paycheck to paycheck, can barely make ends meet, and struggle to put food on their tables for their families. That's who's paying on the interest of the national debt. These working Americans are paying on that debt through bonds that have been purchased, and they are eventually being cashed in on, and they're people that are earning that interest. Look, and we pay it to them. The struggling Americans are paying that interest to those who are taking advantage of the debt. That's to the tune of $25 trillion with interest that we, the people, pay on. So, will the payment on the debt that the 265 million working Americans that are making ever be paid off? Is that a good question? I have it. That's my question. Is there a plan to bring a balance to this financial nightmare that keeps going on and on and on? Is it an endless deep hole that has no end? Is it a scheme? What are you talking about, Janice? Let's just stick with definitions. What is a scheme? A scheme can be defined as a large-scale, systematic plan or arrangement for attaining a particular object or putting a particular idea into effect, a clever marketing scheme. A scheme is a plan of action that is usually secret or kept hidden. Yes, kept a secret. So something described as scheming has a quality of secretive planning. For example, you might offer to keep your mom company on a long drive to drop off a relative at the airport because on the way home you plan to stop and shop at a particular shopping mall that's right off the highway. You had a scheme, you had a plan. In essence, you were scheming. Yeah, you conceal your true intentions because you believe it will help you get what you want. You want to go to the shopping mall. Scheme. My fellow Americans, you don't have to be a math genius to know that there is not enough money to responsibly run this nation. We have $34 trillion in debt, and there's another 5.5% interest on that debt, which equates to $1.87 trillion. $34 trillion plus the $1.87 trillion. Last week, we clearly saw that a huge amount of the tax revenues that we, the people, are paying goes towards paying for the tax breaks that certain people receive, the military and the interest on the national debt. That's where our money's going. There is not enough money to fully fund the 15 different presidential cabinet functions that we covered last week. We have to be focused on the Treasury and the defense military. What about the other 13 cabinet positions and the operations thereof? Is this how we should effectively run and manage our nation? Is it? Is there enough money? If there is not enough money, and we the people are paying the money that is being systemically deducted from our earnings, what kind of financial system is actually set up in our nation? Is it okay for me to ask that question? Is it okay for us to consider that? Let's take a look at the specifics thereof. I respectfully suggest that we consider if what is going on is a Ponzi scheme. Now hold on. Wait a minute. Wait a while now. Don't reject what I'm saying. Let's just look at definitions and specific evidences. Let's just maturely and simply look at the definition of a Ponzi scheme and compare it to what is actually occurring in America. A Ponzi scheme, what is it? It is an investment swindle in which some early investors are paid off with money put up by later ones in order to encourage more and bigger risk. An investment swindle in which early investors are paid with sums obtained from later ones in order to create the illusion of profitability. A Ponzi scheme is a fraudulent investment operation that pays quick returns to initial contributors using money from subsequent contributors rather than profit. Here's a legal definition that I ran into. A Ponzi scheme is an investment swindle in which early investors are paid with sums obtained from later ones in order to create this overall pervasive illusion of profitability. It's an illusion. We, the people, are providing the money over and over and over again for our entire lives that profits who? Who is profiting from the money that is being deducted, automatically taken out of our paychecks? My fellow Americans, we can just keep doing the same old thing or come up with a viable solution to truly make our nation great. Are we great if 265 million Americans are suffering and struggling and barely making ends meet, living paycheck to paycheck, trying to figure out how they're going to get money to buy a new vehicle, try to figure out how they're going to pay on student loans, trying to figure out how they can keep from filing bankruptcy simply because they can't make ends meet? I'm part of that 265,900,000 because I don't make $100,000 a year. I got to figure some things out. We can improve things now. We can get out of denial, stop lying, which will help us set up our posterity, our children, our grandchildren for success. So many Americans are just worn out. They are tired. As the old folks say, they woe out. They're hopeless. Yet, oh God, they keep showing up at work, fighting for their families, trying to keep food on the table, trying to keep gas in the car. Some of them working 2 full-time jobs. Some of them working 3 jobs. When do they sleep? In 2024, we're setting the stage for major reformation. I say it again. Major reformation in 2024. We're setting the stage. We, the people, are making a demand, and it's simple. It's basic common sense. It's just like all depositors who go to banks in America, they get the same rates on their bank accounts. We are demanding that this equitable practice be across the board in terms of payment on taxes. We got to have money to run the nation. 265,900,000 Americans are paying 10 to 37% in taxes. Others are paying 8.2%. Stop right there and think about that. We've got to do an intervention. We're talking about that 8-year moratorium where we want to make it flow together as one. Everybody paying the same rate of 8.55%, a uniform tax rate on taxes starting in 2025. Do it for 8 years. 8 to make America great. 8 to make America great. This will get rid of our national debt. It's a security threat. We're spending more money on debt than we do on our military. Yes, we don't even have hypersonic missiles. I'll say it again. Russia, Iran, and China do. That is a threat to our security in this nation. Oh, God, help us. I'm just laying out facts. You can't make this stuff up. We have looked at the numbers. We looked at it last week. Remember, from 2016 to 2023, our nation collected $30.2 trillion, an 8-year moratorium of having a tax holiday where we all pay the same thing regarding taxes to support the infrastructure of our nation is equitable, is strategic, and it's doable. We're on a slippery slope. We all would get the same tax breaks. No more 180 different tax breaks that everybody doesn't get. It's not even equitable. We keep the charitable deduction credit. We keep the tax break for our pensions. There's no taxing of that earned money. Yeah. And we keep the tax break related to having a flexible spending account for our health care. I just started that this year. It's like, oh, that won't be taxed? Oh, yeah, I'm going to do it if I'm spending money on health care, medicine. That flexible spending account. Yeah, I hadn't even paid attention to it. I'm paying attention now, living paycheck to paycheck, like 265,900,000 of my fellow Americans, we the people, we would have the same equitable strategy across the board for all Americans, all 340 million of us getting in here together and solving this problem. 8.55% on personal federal income tax, 8.55% on corporate business tax, 8.55% on excise tax. Everyone paying the same thing for 8 years, 8 for 8 to make America great. We talking about make America great, 8 for 8 to make America great. This will result in us having a total of $69.1 trillion of tax revenue being collected from 2025 to 2032, and it will come with much accountability. Stick with me because I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. Yeah, we're going to get there. It's built in. This thing is doable. Listen, letting our elected officials know that they are responsible from a legislative perspective to keep us safe. We got to let them know. If we don't focus on our safety and support the we don't, yeah, all of us, all 340 million of us, and they don't focus on our safety and support the legislation to get us out of debt, we will employ campaigns to send them back home. We're going to send the message to them loud and clear. We are ending this scheme. It's all set up like a Ponzi scheme and sending folk back to their communities. Can they make $174,000 a year in their community? That's what we, the people, are paying for their salaries. They're working for us, guys. Yes, they're working for us. And we're letting them know here in 2024, this year, that we expect legislation to get rid of the national debt to be in place in 2025. Enough is enough. If they don't get on board and seriously, I'm telling you, I'm working with some folk. Yeah, I'm in conversation. We're in strategic planning. We ain't messing around. We're not messing around. Yes. Look, listen. If they don't get on board and seriously work for we the people, they're going to be voted out of the legislature in 2026. We've got a strategic plan to do it. It's observable. It's measurable. And here are some serious things that we're going to get done. Listen, while not every representative is open-minded, yet a majority of representatives really want to do they want to listen to their constituents, if for no other reason, to get reelected. Yeah. So call them. We're going to do some calling campaigns. You're going to hear from us. We are organizing, strategizing, calling our representatives. We're going to have calling campaigns, calling our elected officials, you may feel like a stranger on the phone, and it may sound difficult. It may sound nerve-wracking, but it's really easy and simple. When you have something that you care about in your community, and especially if you heard something that's an opportunity for your elected representative to take action on, whether it's through a vote, a statement, co-sponsoring a bill, make a call. What's going to happen is one of their staffers is going to pick up that phone. You're going to simply tell them. It's going to take you a minute or two. We're going to help you with it. Use everyday language. You say, hey, I saw this thing in the news, and it really matters to me. And I'm asking that my representative or Senator so-and-so or Congressman so-and-so take action to prevent this from happening. You can be as specific or as general as you so desire. You can even ask questions about what the representative's position is about that particular issue. Next, the staffer will probably ask you for your zip code. And they want to make sure that you're within their district. They are going to thank you. They're going to hang up. It's just that simple. It's a great way to cut through the noise and to share your personal stories even. Have you been affected by a particular law? Have you been affected by something that's happening in the news? When are you going to tell your elected representative that story? It gives them something to work from. So if you're nervous, call after hours and leave a message, a voicemail. You can set aside time to call elected representatives each week by setting up a recruiting event on your calendar. We're going to be doing this. You're going to be hearing from us. I'm telling you, y'all get ready. Y'all going to hear from us. We're going to be inundating you all with our agenda. You work for us. Yes. Send emails, send letters, send postcards to your representatives. They work for us. Write it yourself. Don't use a form letter. If you use a form letter, edit to be significant to what's on your heart. Be brief, be to the point, be transparent. Tell your representatives what you're really feeling. Make it personal. Yes, yes, yes. Listen, we're going to protest too. Peacefully. That means we show up and we let our voice be heard. It's a peaceful demonstration. Show your officials that their constituents truly care about an issue. You have the power to put pressure on the elected officials. We're going to strategically be doing that. You can find community organizers and thoughtful activists in whatever community you live in and find out how they do it. Strategize it together peacefully. How and why you contacted your elected officials can be very strategic. You may feel like one phone call, one email, it doesn't matter. That's not true, guys. If we do this collectively, we're going to be movers and shakers. When they hear even a handful of people reaching out about a particular topic, they absolutely bring it up in their internal staff meetings. We're going to be having pizza parties where we're going to feed people together, and we're going to do some strategic things together to get to our representatives. Yes, we are. You can inspire a conversation within their office by just gathering a few minutes to collectively make these phone calls. Yes, 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 yes. At the end of the day, your representative represents you. They represent us. They represent we, the people. They work for us. They work for our community. Elections are a way of voting people out when they don't do what they need to do. Constantly remind them that if they don't get the work done, they're coming home. They need to go on and find a job in the community that's going to pay them $174,000 a year because we're sending them back home. No more messing around. No more schemes. I know I was treading deep, but no truth is ever a lie. Tonight, from a clinical perspective, we're going to look at how did it considerations about if something or someone is not good for you. These representatives, they're not good for us if they're not doing anything but kicking the can down the road and having parties and meeting in rooms doing wrong stuff. That's right. Y'all heard it on the news. That stuff's got to stop. We're paying for them to be up there to represent us in saving this nation. So we're going to talk about considerations about if something or someone is not good for you. Look, if you don't share the same core values, might you be looking at, is this person good for me? What are my values? What are their values? Do they have any values? Yes, of course. We all change over time. Ideally, people that are in relationships, they grow together through, they evolve. But that doesn't always happen. Living with the constant stress of conflicting values or goals isn't good for either party in a relationship. And that's what's going on in our nation, too. Yes, it is. Is it going to work? Or do we have to send them home? Do we have to break this relationship with these representatives? Are you in relationships with people, friends, intimate relationships, people that is like, we need to be looking at this. Let me tell you, with these kind of dynamics in personal relationships, I respectfully encourage you to consider the therapeutic process, because some things you just need to process and look at. You need some input. Intimate relationships requires two people. Friendships involves two people choosing togetherness every day, whether they're going to put work into it, invest in it. If you're forcing yourself to make a relationship work, then we might consider thinking hard and long about, are we going to invest what we need to invest to make it healthy? What are we getting out of the relationship? And I know a lot of people say, we need to go to marriage counseling. Most times you need to go to individual therapy first. You got to work on yourself first. Do the people in a relationship, do they get along with your family? Do they sabotage your family? It's one thing if they have friction with one or two friends or family members, but if someone that you're with has a problem with all of them, is that okay? We're just asking questions. What's going on if you have to hide your thoughts and your feelings from them? What's going on if you can't openly discuss these things? Sure, sometimes touchy subjects come up, and we have to approach those things with care. But if we're consistently hiding our thoughts and feelings from people that we're supposed to be close with, what's that all about? Choosing to hide the real you to keep the peace, is that good for you? Sometimes your instincts will scream loud. Sometimes it may save your life. Sometimes we just need intervention to process some things. That's why I push therapy. I do. Go to JanicePons.com, go to the resource page. You can find a therapist in your area. The people that you're involved with, do they respect you? Or do they show sheer disrespect across the board all the time? Nobody likes us every single moment, but do they disrespect you? Feeling irritated with someone that you're in a relationship with, that's normal. It can be healthy because you work through it. But is it to a point you can't stand each other? That needs to be looked at. Are you feeling manipulated? Are you feeling controlled? That needs to be looked at. Is the person that you're in a friendship with or a relationship with, are they constantly maneuvering, manipulating you as an individual? Is your relationship lacking a real connection? Healthy relationships ideally nurture and support each other, the people in the relationship. But if you can't connect on a deep level, at least occasionally, then you might question the viability of the relationship. These things need to be processed. The therapeutic process can help you do that. But here's a harsh but loving truth. Some people just might not be good for you. They might be abusive. And if they are hitting you and physically abusing you, sexually abusing you, boy, you better really look at some things then. Any long-term relationship is a two-way street, except that the person you might be in a relationship with and a friendship with, are they for you? Are they? Or are they against you? Are they sabotaging you? Are our representatives sabotaging us? Is it taxation without representation? Are they abusing us? Listen, there's something called healthiness in this nation. We have just about lost it. But this thing can be turned around. It can be turned around in relationships. But it has to be solid. It has to be intentional, because if we don't stop this madness, what ends up happening? We go into a destructive pattern. So what is Janice Pons about on this podcast? I am encouraging us to be one nation under God, people together, uniting in relationships and friendships, us flowing together as one. As we go from destruction to dignity, we're going to keep on this journey together. You know my heart. I believe God is not done with America. You know why? We are still here. And I will see you next week. Good night.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Janice's mission is to provoke thought, bring awareness, and point people towards intervention when needed. As a reminder, this show is not therapy, but for educational purposes only. For more information, check out JanicePons.com or follow her on social media.
Education, affirmation, dedication, information, revelation. A new nation. We are God empowered. Strength is ours. Liberty, been set free. Education, affirmation, dedication, information, revelation.